What's good? Welcome. It's your boy, Do-It-A-Don, Global Ambassador of Youth for Usher's New Look. Excited to be bringing to y'all the first installment of our speaker series, Money Talks, man. Now look, first of all, I gotta give it up to the Suntrust Foundation because without them specifically and other partners like this wouldn't happen. Now, how did this actually happen? I'm not gonna lie to you, this was just like a small little conversation that we was having in the office, and we was like, we know that financial literacy is so important that right now we're wrapping that into all of our curriculum. But we know that this is another language that unfortunately a lot of people aren't speaking. So what are we gonna do as disruptivators and us at Usher's New Look? We're gonna bring the education to the streets. So that's why not only are we streaming live on Instagram, we're streaming live on Facebook, and we're recording this. We got an actual live studio audience in the building. Can y'all make some noise? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's lit, man. We talking about money. But hey, man, I'm gonna, close my mouth a little bit, and I'm gonna kick it over to my main man, Amon Lau. He's the moderator today. All right, y'all make some noise for Amon.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Sweat.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us today through our Money Talks seminar today. We'll be talking about pretty much how you can make money, how to save your money, and what you can do with your money. And so today, my name is Amon Lau. I have the pleasure of moderating this wonderful discussion. I just graduated from Howard University with a bachelor's in finance. Thank you. I currently live in LA and I work in celebrity wealth management, where I've had the opportunity to help manage money for celebrities like Miguel, Usher, The Weeknd, Kanye, Coldplay. But today, this is not about me, it's about us and what we can do for minorities in the African American community and getting this ball started. So let's start by introducing our wonderful panelists. We have none other than the author, Tyreek Wynn. Can I have a round of applause for Tyreek? We have change agent, Mike Supreme. And we also have visual artist, Venetia Thompson. Definitely. So let's hop right into the discussion. And the first topic is going to be pretty much our financial stories and how we pretty much became involved in finance. So I'll kick it off. So for me, I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I don't have too much experience, well, as a young person with finance. And so what I had to do was I had to go find mentors and understand what financial literacy meant. My family wasn't the wealthiest. We didn't have the most money, and my mom didn't have the most money. So you had to do it what you had. And so I got a job and made sure I paid through my high school classes and made sure I worked hard, got the right amount of grades, studied the right amount to make sure I can go to college. Went to Howard University, studied finance, and from there I've been able to work at an investment bank in finance, Goldman Sachs. I've had probably 7 internships in 3 years. I've done a lot in finance, whether it's insurance, investments, asset management, pretty much understanding the complete spectrum in terms of credit and things like that. So I live and breathe finance, but it's not just about me and what I understand finance to be. It's what I can use finance for and how to give that back to the community and what we can do as a community to create change. So that's me and my story of finance. So you guys can kick it off.
Okay. All right, I guess I'll start. Well, for me, I thought my parents were rich. I thought they just had all the money in the world, to be honest with you. But when they sat me down to actually tell me how much stuff costs. They went over bills with me. They went over all these types of different expenses that go into raising a family and doing all this different stuff. And so it was actually a funny story. Last year, I took my parents out for their anniversary dinner. And so, I thought I was a big baller. I wanted to go out to, I took them out. I took them out to Papados. And so big seafood, one of the best seafood places in Atlanta. And so when I got the bill, I was a little shocked. The bill was over $100 and I was like, what? And so when I got that bill, I actually realized what money was and the value of it. And that's basically kind of like my financial testimony. I remember also one time when I was doing an interview with somebody, they asked me if somebody has an hourly job rate, if they're making $7 an hour and they want to buy these new pair of J's that are, over $100, do you realize how much hours they are putting into one pair of shoes. And so, I sat down and I really thought about that, and it kind of just made me realize the real value of money.
And so again, I go by the name of Michael Supreme, influencer, creative change agent. And so for me, my money story is real simple, man. Between the ages of 17 to 18, I started doing a lot of high school parties here in the city of Atlanta. I was actually one of the first in the city of Atlanta to do high school parties. And around that time, I was making easy $100,000 a year just rolling out of bed doing those type of parties. And so because I had never seen that amount of money before, for me it was one of those things where I thought it was going to consistently be there, consistently come in. But when it stopped coming in, when I had the money, I was doing what everybody did with it, which was spend it on friends, spend it on family, travel, just have a good time with it, expecting it to consistently be there. And so when it stopped coming in, of course, I was at a loss of words, not understanding what to do or how to make things shape. But my dad had a best friend who's my financial advisor now. He set me down. I've always been a strategic planning type of guy. So what I did was I created a full strategic plan on how to get myself back where I desired to be financially. But when I sat down with this investor guy, this financial agent, what he showed me was all the holes I had in my plan. And he started teaching me things about the rule of 72, things that we should have learned in school about compound interest, how to make your money work best for you. He started talking to me about how to develop and build a solid financial house. And so I've been insurance licensed since I was 18 years old. And so when we talk about wealth creation, a lot of the people that are some of the wealthiest people in the world right now, when you look at the fabric of what they've done in life, a lot of them have insurance licenses, because that's one of the things that a lot of people need in life, or period in life, when it comes to insurance, as you know, as a financial guy. And so it's just exciting to be in the posture where I am today as a full service change agent, doing a lot of things in the communities, a lot of things in the schools, and really being able to create that foundation where people understand these are the strategic things you have to do to go about getting your money right if you really choose to win in that financial game.
That's fair. I'm Denise Thompson. I don't have a finance background, but I've learned a lot of my financial literacy from my parents and real world happenings. I'm Jamaican, and so my parents, for my mom knows how to spend money, and my dad knows how to save it. And so through the combination of the two, picked up different things here and there on how to budget and how to spend and how to save and what the benefits of saving and budgeting are. And then, when you're young and you watch your parents do certain things, you kind of, put it in the back of your mind. And then when I was at University of Georgia, halfway through my collegiate career, lost a couple scholarships. And so I had to kind of kick in that background knowledge from my parents that, hey, this budget's going to be helpful right now because you're not getting this scholarship money anymore. And so that helped me to step up my budgeting and financing and help me to get where I am now.
Definitely. Wonderful, wonderful. So my next question is pretty much, have you ever experienced a financial hardship, and kind of what have you done to get past that? Because, I really want to hone in that finance isn't always going to be perfect. It's not always going to work how you want it to, but and at the end of the day, you have to get through that. And with that comes a story and a testimony. And so I guess one for me was credit. So let's talk about that. In college, they give you credit cards, and they pretty much make it this wonderful paradise of money. And that's not necessarily what it is. Credit is a tool, it's a vehicle to get you to where you need to be, and it's not necessarily your money. So I got a credit card. I spent a lot of money and spent more than what I had at the time, and I ended up in debt for a brief amount of time. And let me tell you, when you have a credit card with debt and interest is compiling, it's not pretty. So what I had to do was I had to create an action plan, get my money together, and pay it off immediately. And so now that I know from that experience is only use it as a tool, as a vehicle to get you from where you are to where you need to be within reason, and not as your money. So that's something that I've had experience with. So do any of the panelists have any experiences similar to that?
Sure. One of the biggest things that I'm learning about money, even in these recent days, is that money is irrelevant, right? Like, a lot of people give so much control and so much power to a sheet of paper or a piece of cotton, right? And so, I'm not a religious person, but I'm uber spiritual. And so with me being uber spiritual, when we look at this concept of thou shalt put no other God before thee, right? When we look at this world that we live in and this concept of money, if people don't have enough money, they start stressing, right? If people have enough money, then their egos grow and all this other stuff. But when you think about it for real, money is energy, right? Money is energy. And if you want to be a millionaire, billionaire, like we just did this the other day, I was telling you about the Come As You Will party, right? And we said, okay, cool, I'm a billionaire. I walked in here today, walked in the back room, and we say, what do you want to call you? Michael Supreme, the billionaire? Do that. Because I exude that. That's my energy, right? That's my frequency, and so I attract that to me. And so what my biggest thing for people to understand is that when you get into a place about money, it's not about money. It's about what's going on with you on the inside. And so you figure out what's going on with you on the inside that's broken and needs to be fixed on that financial game, and then everything else around you will be fixed. That's just me.
I agree. Any other panelists want to share? We also have a new person joining us. Would you mind introducing yourself, Evan?
My name is Rika G. I'm an educator and a lyricist.
The real is back.
Well, welcome. Can we all get a round of applause? Okay, so what we've been pretty much discussing is our financial testimonies and our stories financially. Would you mind sharing a bit about your history financially and, tell us a bit more about yourself?
I can do that. So I'm also Jamaican, which means that my mom also knows how to spend a lot and save a little. Hope she doesn't see that. But growing up, and then I grew up in a single parent household. And so that idea of typical struggling family type thing it could have been worse, but I learned early that bills are a priority. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, make sure bills get paid. You want to have fun, make sure you're doing enough work to accommodate your budget. So that being said, I got to college. I also lost my scholarships a little earlier though. It was my freshman year. I studied hard. All right. So yeah, there was a point in college, going into my third year, I think it was, where a lot of my peers were doing like internships and co-ops. I went to Georgia Tech. I was working 60 hours a week at 5 or 6 different jobs, fasting during Ramadan. Like, that's how real the struggle was, sleeping on couches. And so I think after coming through that, at that point, about maybe 19, to being able to finally have graduated and now have financial stability, I'm really on that manifestation. Like, I don't even really talk dollar signs like that, because it's like, all right, if I want this trip for X, Y, and Z purposes, or if I need these funds for my classroom, I'm going to work like I got these funds. I'm going to plan this trip like I got these funds already. People ask me, how do I get around so much? It's like, look, I know there's always going to be a way to find food. You know what I mean? So as long as you know you got a way to find food, everything else is just up to you to kind of work as if it's already in your possession.
That's deep. Right, I was going to say snaps. We can snap on that. That's deep. I guess that leads us to the next discussion point of what does money look like? That's a perfect segue. What does wealth look like? What does money look like? And I know for me personally, wealth is more than just like what you said. It's more than financial. It's more spiritual. It's more, how did I wake up today? And do I feel good about my life? Do I feel good about myself? And am I safe to do the things that I need to do to live the kind of life that I want to live? So it's not necessarily, do I have $1 million worth of real estate? That's your net worth. That's the financial metric of wealth. But wealth can be whatever metric that you decided to be, whether it's, waking up and having just enough money to support your family and being active in your community and being able to donate to your church and to live and still be happy. That's definitely a definition of wealth. So I would love to hear what your definitions of wealth are. Definitely.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll start off. My definition would basically be debt-free, not owing anybody. Yes. Yeah. Being able to be a blessing to somebody else, somebody else who is in need, all needs supplied, and able to provide for your family and, just others around you. And and being able to tithe in church and, pay your 10% and being able to pay your dues and being able to pay your bills and all that stuff. So that's what wealth looks like to me.
So for me, there was a book I was reading called Soar by T.D. Jakes, right? And so in the first 2 pages of the book, he was talking about his dad and his dad's vision for his family. And his dad's vision for his family, well, he worked so hard. He worked 3 jobs and then became an entrepreneur and all this other stuff. But he worked so hard just to be able to buy a house where all of his kids could have their own bedroom, right? And so when I saw that, I stopped and paused for a second. I was like, dude, I don't even have a vision for myself and my family, right? And so when I started thinking about in depth with the vision for myself and my family and where this wealth piece comes in at, it's like I desire to be that guy that where when my kids are going through school, right, and they're learning about pyramids, and they're learning about outer space, they're learning about other things, I can simply say, okay, cool, let's go take a trip and let's see that, right? Like you're learning about Egypt, let's go touch the pyramids, right? Let's really feel that. Let's understand that for real, beyond what's on the page of the book. So to be able to provide my children and my family with a lifestyle that's like none other, where they could actually experience things the way they desire to experience and understand that everything is three things that are the structure of life. God first, family second, business third. And if I develop a family, my core is tight, and we understand that that's the flow of it, that's wealth for me.
All right, for me, definitely co-signing what you just said and thinking about generational wealth when we're talking about wealth among specifically me as an African American woman. I was discussing earlier with somebody, some of us know that African American home attainment was sometimes, they were redlined in the past. And so for me, I was blessed through my budgeting and connections, professional connections, to be able to buy a home at 24. And that was a big step in not only thinking about my children, but thinking about my grandchildren and where I can set them up for success in the future. Wealth, not only from a real estate standpoint, but also from a debt standpoint, is very crucial for African Americans in their physical health, as well as their mental and emotional health. And so that's what I think about when I think of wealth.
Similar, like I'm really big on, so as a product of immigrant family, like my mindset since I was a kid has always been, they kept saying they came here so we can get access to resources and opportunities. That's all, like anytime I would ask, why are we here? Like it's warm there. I lived in Chicago growing up, like why are we here? And they always say resource opportunities. And I feel like now I've reached a point in my life where I can go and be that resource and provide those opportunities home. So wealth for me now looks like, how do I take my cash flow here and invest it in the island and in the community, the country that bred me to be who I am. And then also like one of the first things I do when I get a check is what Black-owned business can I intentionally invest on? Not the ones that I conveniently do because they're in my neighborhood, but like what can I do to go out my way to support Black business or small business first? Or like if I got a homie, how can I rotate this dollar within my network? I haven't gotten to, I guess, the family planning stage of my life yet so much because I'm really big on making sure, I'm not, but making sure that I put my money in my people. That's like my main investment because I feel like I'm gonna get that return somewhere. Even if that's gonna be like, I get to see my friend's clothing line on TV or something one day, it's like that's what I'm investing in, and that's where I think my wealth currently is.
Definitely. You know, there's a lot of conversations about wealth in regards to the best way to accumulate wealth, and so it might be a little bit of a controversial topic, but from your opinions, what do you think is the best way to accumulate it? Is it the traditional college path, or is it through entrepreneurship? What do you guys think?
Keep it real.
It's entrepreneurship all day, every day for me. All day, every day for me. Because when you look at the regular 9-to-5 structure, there's a ceiling. There's a cap on it. Like you can only make but so much money when you're working a regular traditional 9-to-5. It don't matter how good of a person you are, how hard of a worker you are, how much you influence the culture of that particular establishment, you're always only going to make a certain amount of money. But if you become an entrepreneur, you have complete reign over how much you make, how much you choose to make. You got to make a decision as an entrepreneur to understand that your work ethic has to be harder than it would be if you were working a regular 9-to-5. Because as an entrepreneur, you eat what you kill. You eat what you kill. And so if as an entrepreneur, you have the freedom to sit back, relax, and recline and do whatever it is you want to do whenever it is you want to do it. But at the same time, that's the same reason why a lot of people don't succeed as entrepreneurs, because they want to take that time to sit back, chill, relax, and do whatever they want to do. And another reason entrepreneurs don't succeed is because they don't think bigger into developing a business. They think about being a self-employed individual. They think about being that person that's able to say, dude, like I just started my own startup. But at the end of the day, if you can't walk away from your business for 6 to 12 months and your business make the same amount of money or more without you in that establishment, you a slave to the job that you just created for yourself. And so it's like entrepreneurship for me, I don't know about anybody else, but for me, entrepreneurship is the only way to go to establish riches, to establish wealth, and to be able to get the freedom that you desire to have in this world that we're in right now. What it is for everybody else, it's your thing.
I agree with that. Any other panelists want to speak on that?
Well, so I have a conflict as an educator, especially. I'm not the teacher that says, you know, I'm preparing you for college. This is college and career readiness. Whatever it is that you're gonna do after you finish high school is what I'm preparing you for, right? And sometimes entrepreneurship means bypassing college altogether. Sometimes it means going through college, you know what I mean? Like some people need the structured, formal education. And that gets into a whole nother topic about like our education system and readiness and what goes on in the households and all of that. But if we come back to the manifestation concept, I think whenever you're walking in your light and you're pursuing your passion and investing in that, then that's where you're gonna get your wealth from. So you might be an accountant or like a restaurant shop owner or a complete entrepreneur in a different sense. Like whatever it is that you do, as long as you do it to the extent that you can and you want to, then you're gonna accumulate the wealth that's for you, if that makes sense.
That's just like here at the New Look Foundation, it's all about identifying your spark.
Yeah.
Like knowing what your spark is. That's another way of like saying knowing what your passion is, what your purpose is, what your desire is. And once you know what your spark is,
And you lit.
yeah, you're lit. You're able to move into the world and do things that people would consider to be hard, but it's seemingly easy for you because you're in your right shape, in your right form, doing exactly what you're supposed to do. And so it's like manifestation is key.
Yeah.
Spirituality
That
is
needs to
key
be a
to
class,
everything,
like right up there with how to do your taxes in high school. It's like how to manifest.
No, that's it. That's
your
it.
blessings.
The law of attraction, all of that needs to be a huge workshop for everything, because that's what it's all about. You attract this stuff to you.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And my take on the, I asked for your opinion first, so I can like pretty much say how I feel as well. So I really think it's a powerful balance between understanding who you are, what you love, and how to better yourself. I think there's a role for education, and knowledge is power. But the formal education system may or may not be for everyone and every type of person. And I think no matter what you do, you should have a component of entrepreneurship, whether you go to school, whether you decide not to go to school. I think they're not mutually exclusive, and I think there is power in being able to go to school and then start a business. And I think there's also power without having to incur debt through education and being able to start a business. How I think about it in the sense of school is more of a tool to help give you further knowledge that will put you in a competitive advantage that you wouldn't have had you not gone to school. And so now you know more than the typical person because you went to school. So now the business that you start is going to be extra lucrative, you know? That's a potential opportunity. So
I'm sorry. The host wants to just slide in real quick. I just wanted to make 2 quick points. I think, one, people miss out on moments where they could have a potential to be an entrepreneur. So even like, I agree with you. Some people need to go to college. Some people need to go strictly into the entrepreneur route. I was watching a vlog the other day, and it was a guy talking about the minority mindset. And he was basically talking about all of the entrepreneurial ventures that he actually launched while he was in college. He was like, I'm not a person that likes to party, but I noticed that everyone liked to party. I also noticed that the fraternities and the sororities like to promote themselves at this party via t-shirt. All the organizations, they want to make t-shirts. So what he did was he found a t-shirt manufacturer that he could get the t-shirts for cheaper. He approached them. Now his passion wasn't necessarily to be a t-shirt business, but he saw an opportunity and capitalized off of it through entrepreneurship. So I think that it's a balance of pursuing your passion as well as just bridging the gap, and as well as one of my efforts to change my financial perspective is to bridge the gaps from my forefathers' mistakes. So I watched my mom work her whole life, manual labor jobs, has no retirement money, no 401k. I saw my dad hustle in the streets and make millions of dollars, have no credit, can't spend his money. You know what I'm saying? So for me, financial wealth looks like A1 credit. You know what I'm saying? It looks like having an investment plan, whether that be 401k, and investing a certain amount, whether it be 10 to 20% of your money, not in a bank, but in savings, stocks, bonds, because that's going to return and yield a higher interest rate on your money. I also learned from my pops that you don't get rich by spending your money all the time. You have to figure out a way to raise capital and spend other people's money, simply to put it. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to throw my little 2 cents in there. Shit, hopefully emotion.
definitely. And all of those are concepts that aren't always reiterated in our communities, such as making sure you have your savings accounts and you know what the return on your savings account is, or having insurance to protect your assets, life insurance. And you know, these things are what we're going to be talking more about throughout the panel. There's going to be some gems coming out over time, but I really want y'all to focus on understanding what you can do today. What's your next opportunity to make, you know, the money that you need to make to survive. And with that, we're going to move on to our next topic. What would you guys do if you had a blank check? Like right now, somebody just came to you and said, hey, here's a blank check. You can have any amount of money and you can spend it on anything. Anything.
She said they got stressful. That's a lot of money.
For me, I would use it to pay off student loan debt, and then use the rest of it to fund my passion. So I mentioned earlier, it's a visual artist, and that adds up. Buying the materials, presenting it, framing, mounting it, and putting in the time, sweat equity to make a good piece. So paying off debt, fueling my passion, which will in turn lead to that return on whatever the blank check was spent on me.
This is for social media as well, so y'all feel free to answer the questions about the blank
I'm
check.
definitely gonna interject some points from my social media in a second.
Definitely.
So for me, it would be developing that solid financial house, right? Because it's like you got the people crazy. I was at the Y the other day, and the lady looked at me and she said, "Bro, something different about you." I said, "Yeah, I just became a billionaire yesterday." She was like, "What?" I was like, "What, really?" I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Yeah, I just hit the lotto the other day too." I said, "Really?" She said, "Yeah, I just hit the lotto," and I believed her because of how excited she was about it, but she didn't hit the lotto. But I'm saying this to say, like, it's that lottery theory. Like, a lot of people go and hit the lottery, and they say that almost everybody that hits the lottery is broke within X number of years of getting these millions of dollars, right? And so the crazy thing is that's only because people don't understand how to develop that solid financial house. And so it's like, yeah, I can get a blank check and put $100 billion on there. I could put $1 trillion on there. But for me, it would be making sure that my structure, that financial house is set, making sure that I understand that on my living expenses, I'm only spending 30% of that. Understanding that when it comes to taxes, right? Like, based off of how much money I make, like at a regular 9 to 5, my taxes might only be 20-25% coming out of my check. But if I'm making millions of dollars, I'm looking at 35-40% coming out of my check easy. Out of everything that's coming in. So I know if I don't want to deal with the IRS, off top of everything that's coming in, I need to put that 35-40 to the side. I need to know 10% is going to God. I need to know that 20% is going to anything that I want to do on the charity side of things. I need to know if I want to get around this tax loophole of having to send all my money to people that don't care about me and don't care about my people. And I need to know what type of organizations like New Look or The Wire or anybody else that I'm going to put money into so that I don't have to give the government that much money, so that I can do more of what I want to do to help empower people that have a heart for change. And then I could put that other little bit to the side and focus on saving and understand that when it comes to saving, it's not just about a traditional savings account at a bank. Like, people look at these savings accounts at the bank and don't even understand that you're getting less than 2%, less than 1%.
Which is not even inflation.
It's like 0.0.
Yeah, it's not even a percent, right?
Yeah.
You're getting not even a percent on what you put in on a savings account. And so it's like understanding what Dewey was talking about, how to invest into the global economy, and understanding, okay, cool, on this saving structure, I need to have 6 to 12 months of my original that I have coming in on a month-to-month saved on an emergency side. Then I need to have something put to the side for short-term savings, then long-term savings, and understand why short-term savings exist and why long-term savings exist. That's what I would do with a blank check. Like, that's because I'm in a more mature space right now. You would ask me years ago, man, I would have been every Jordan, about 30 pairs of, everybody would have houses, everybody would have cars. But in a more mature place, it's like you gotta set yourself up for the future.
Definitely.
All right, well, for me, kind of like what he was doing, I'm gonna have to sit down and I'm gonna have to like map everything out of where I want certain dollars to go. So of course, put money up for God, church, and all that other good stuff. Then on the side, we gonna fund this business that I'm already created, and we're gonna make it bigger. We're also going to basically we're gonna start a new movement for teenagers, a new movement to help end teenage pregnancy, get teens and youths to start doing drugs and all this other stuff, make the school systems better. All these issues with that teens are facing today, we want to kill them and we want to make it better. Also, definitely want to, of course, I want a luxury car. Even though I'm gonna do all this other stuff, I gotta have some for me. So, a Mercedes-Benz, a Bentley, or, something like that. But definitely gonna get something from me, but also do things and impact the community as well. So.
It's funny. So obviously, I would first need to call these two up to help me with like the personal finance aspects. My first thought was my nonprofit. Like my kids need scholarships. Our studio time needs to be paid for. We want shirts. We want to do more concerts. Like all the things that we could do as an organization with that money. The trips that I want to take them on. I want to start a chapter in Jamaica. So I'm just thinking like a different administrative task and stuff that we can finally cover with a blank check. I forgot that I need to probably pay off student loans too. That's on the list.
So real quick, everybody just give me a number. This will tell a lot about y'all. Just give me a number on that blank check. What would your number be? Real quick.
For $1 trillion.
Mine by 4 trillion. 4
4
trillion.
trillion?
$4 trillion.
Got a trillion with Supreme?
99.99.99.99.
Jesus.
Okay, a whole lot of 6 What about you, Benicia?
Ooh. I could take a 250 billion.
No, not quite a trillion.
But see, I said the number that I said because the money that I would take with this blank check would be more than for me. My dream is to recreate the Black Wall Street and a Black Silicon Valley. And I believe it's time to put power in the hands of the people and break the cycles of oppression that we've faced. And through that money, we can create our own agricultural systems, our own educational systems, our own manufacturing systems. We can create an economy. We already have an economy, but we can catalyze that economy and put more economic growth into our hands and really forget the 40 acres and a mule. We can go buy our own 40 acres and a mule because we've targeted the systematic oppression that we've encountered. So it's breaking the loans that people have that are educationally bound, that's holding them hostage. We can afford to pay those loans for everybody. Make sure they're free, making sure people have the tools that they need in order to be where they want to be. So that's why I said the 4 trillion number, because
That's dope, man, because it's like my queen and I, we went to go see the Black Panther movie last night, right? Definitely. And so it took me back to understanding.
Right over. I haven't seen it.
So I'm not gonna spill it, right? I'm not gonna spill it, but I'm gonna tell you, it took me back to when you hear the stories about how the Black Panthers were structured. But then in your speaking, it also took me back to Black Wall Street, because the black people in that movie had so much technology. They were so advanced, so much more advanced than even America was. And so to be able to be in that space where somebody or a group of people are able to fund the minds of the next generation to be able to move forward and create change in the world, that's a game changer.
that's the key. That's truly the key, honestly.
Swag, man. Great conversation, man. But your boy got to pause for the cause for a little second and let Facebook as well as Instagram know, like, hey, drop us some questions, because in about 2 minutes, we are going to be chiming in and basically highlighting some of you guys' questions. But before we do that, we're going to take some questions for our studio audience. But I want to kick it off with one comment that was dropped on our Instagram Live. One of our supporters actually said, it's more of a statement, she was like, or he, because I can't remember, but he or she said that you absolutely need a bachelor's degree to get a good job. And I do understand their struggle, because, and this is where I want y'all to talk about, like, how do you balance pursuing your passion versus the job that you got to work for to actually fuel and funnel that, because everyone can't go for broke and just live out their car. We hear those inspiring stories, but, reality, when that stomach get grumbling, desperate times, desperate messes. You working for the man now,
I'll take that. And I'll open it to the panelists as well. I think this is one of my favorite questions, because I get this question the most. And I think this is probably going to have the most impact and influence on not just the people in the room, but the digital audience that's viewing. College is definitely an option, and it's definitely needed in the 21st century for certain career paths. But for certain ones, you don't need it. And what I will say, though, minoring in business and majoring in your passion is a wonderful combination. If you can find it at an affordable institution that will allow you to do what you need to do. I say major in your passion because you always are going to be working towards what you're dreaming about, what fuels you, and it's not going to feel like work. But I say minor in business because there's always going to be a business component in whatever it is that you're going to have to do. And a lot of people say outsource. Oh, I don't need to worry about my business. I'll outsource it. That's why Lauryn Hill is in the predicament that she's in now, where she doesn't own the rights to any of her music, and she can't really perform it without authorization from the record label. So that's an example of not taking care of your business and allowing yourself to just emphasize the creativity and the passion that you have. So that's the dangers that come with that. So if you combine your education with the business, you'll be fine. And even if you don't go into your passion field, you have your business to fall back on. You understand accounting, you understand finance, you understand marketing, you understand building a brand, you understand what it takes to run something from a professional standpoint. And that's transferable no matter what industry you go into. That's my response.
Yeah, and so Dewey, that just so you know, that question rubbed me all the wrong way, bro. Like everything in me was bent upside down because I'm a natural entrepreneur at heart. And so when you hear people talking about needing a bachelor's degree to succeed in a regular 9 to 5, it's like I don't even have 9 to 5 conversation. But it's like to address the question, yeah, you need a bachelor's degree to survive in a 9 to 5, right? But you got to ask yourself, do you desire to be a slave building somebody else's dream for the rest of your life? Or do you desire to be free doing whatever it is that God called you to do in this world? And so if you desire to be free and do whatever God called you to do in this world, you might need to make a decision that, okay, cool, if I'm working this 9 to 5, man, majority of my friends have never been to college. And I got a friend that has literally worked from the bottom of Comcast, climbing up trees, getting these big old splinters in his arm, to turn people cable on, to now he's working in the corporate office, head of the millennial division, and has never been to college. And he said, bro, all I want to do, like, I don't care about this 9 to 5 stuff. I just want to see how high I can climb the ladder without a degree. Without a degree. And it's like, in the world that we live in today, everybody knows your network is your net worth. You know, so it really don't matter whether I got a degree or not. All that matters is who I know. It all that matters is how I market myself. And if we talk about marketing ourselves, everybody's an entrepreneur. Like, it's crazy. I got a sister that's an actress, right, out in LA. And she would talk about my brother, my sister, my mother, and I. And she would be like, y'all do that entrepreneur stuff. Like, y'all good on that. Like, I'm good with what I'm doing right here. It's like, sis, you know, you're an entrepreneur too as an actress, right? Like, you gotta market yourself. You gotta get out there and push yourself as a business, as a brand. And so when you think about these people that go and sign up for these 9 to 5 to be slaves for somebody else, to build somebody else's dream, my dude, you're gonna give 100% of your effort to go market yourself, market your business, which is you. You are a corporation. Market your business to help somebody else become successful. What sense does that make? What sense does that make? And I get it. Like, you got the theory of this guy, the two people that work at McDonald's, right? One guy works at McDonald's and he shows up every day and he's pissed off, showing up late, stuffing your fries wrong, like getting your order wrong, all of that. Clearly, that's a guy that's just there for the check. But then you got the other guy that's there, and he has the idea, the vision of, I desire to own a McDonald's one day, right? And so that's the guy that works at the same McDonald's, but he's happy to stuff the fries. He's happy to fold the burgers. He's happy to punch orders. He's happy to do all of this stuff that everybody else would look at and be like, nah, I ain't with that. But his vision is different. And so it's like if she's looking at, he or she is looking at it from the concept of, I need a bachelor's degree to go and get a job that's going to give me training so that I can learn what I need to learn hands-on, so that I can become an entrepreneur and do my own thing in this area. It makes sense then for me.
Most definitely. And in closing on this subject, I want to just say that I think entrepreneurship is even more important in times like this, because jobs, what used to be back in the day, like a high lucrative or predominant type of job, they aren't even able to offer you the same type of job security that they were able to, like.
There is no security.
Exactly. Right?
No security.
Don't talk about social media influencers. The opportunities nowadays in order to make money from your passion have never been greater. So that's literally what I was gonna bring up. It's a new paradigm.
Yeah,
it's a new generation.
It's completely different. It's crazy. Okay, so Swag. So I think, hey, what's going on, Denise, man? Okay, so now we're going to take some questions from our live studio audience. So if anyone has a question, just feel free to go ahead and stand up and holler at us. Okay. Any questions? Any questions?
Okay, Mama look like she got a question.
Okay.
Thank you all. I appreciate all of your perspectives today. I do have a question. When you talk about what you're going to do with money and things like that, they clearly reflect your values. Where did your values come from? How did you even start to develop your values as it relates to money?
Okay, I'll start and then I'll open it up to the panelists as well. So for me, it came from my church. It came from community influencers. It came from Usher's New Look. I've had the opportunity to meet a phenomenal group of individuals and be exposed to many great things. And it's about reaching outside of your comfort zone. If you feel like there's something more that you need to explore, go explore that. And through research, I found that the two biggest things that contribute to our real estate and entrepreneurship I didn't say that at the beginning. I want to say that to this moment so everyone listening can hear that. The two biggest contributing factors to your wealth are real estate and entrepreneurship. So, yeah, you guys can answer that question.
For me, all I can think of is like, you think a lot when you're hungry. And I spent a lot of time hungry. And so I learned a lot about myself. And then, and so we're talking about like material outside of like the personal component that goes into your life, gaining these things and learning these lessons. A lot of my lessons I learned mainly during college was like struggle. Like times were not cool or not fun all the time. And when you hit rock bottom in different ways, whether that's financially or partying too much or whatever the case may be, you are forced to really think about who you are and what matters and what is of value. Like I know personally that, and you can probably tell this a lot by how I carry myself, but a lot of things that are seen as value and worth obtaining to the average person just does not appeal to me. It just doesn't, and it's not a hit to either side. It's like you might rather have a big house. I'd rather have a big piece of grass where I can probably grow some stuff, see some trees, sit down outside, and have a small little crib. I don't like to have extra space because that's how you get junky. You feel me? So stuff like that, like, and thinking about trying to live as naturally and as comfortably as possible, and not just like in my household, but in all of my interactions with people and all my activities. And so that's what my first thought is, all right, well, what can I do to provide for the community, right? And so that means setting a better example. What do I want my kids to start spending their money on? I want them to spend their money on fruits instead of chips. So I guess my first priority is gonna be, how can I bring in healthy foods to the conversation, right? And that's from everything from what you digest to like what you take in terms of media and so on. So.
And I think that's what's so dope about it is, to your point, and that was a great question, by the way, of asking us what our values are, because your financial perspective and your values are going to vary from person to person, but I think that entrepreneurship gives you the leverage or the opportunity to have options within your own right? Because a lot of times, and that's where the value of money really excites me, is because I know that you can incubate, you can ideate, and you can make things happen, because it is one of the most powerful resources, you know what I'm saying, besides intellect. But when you got intellect and common sense, and then you get the budget behind that guy, it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's where I'm trying to get to. I've done enough in my life to where it's like, okay, I got a little sense, I can, make a little leeway. But now it's like when I step into a school and I see that the basketball team doesn't have new uniforms, want to be able to drop that, but make it come with some type of incentive, like, okay, y'all got to make sure y'all getting good grades as well as hooping out here. Just being able to not sell people just words, but being able to change that perspective. And we know that when you got an idea and someone comes and invests into that idea, it esteems you, it lets you see the power. Because I think a lot of people within our community, they have a lot of the will, the power. They just don't necessarily have the right resources. That's why we have to get ourselves in position as entrepreneurs, so we can come back and then feed and reinvest, because that's another way of investing your money as well. It's investing it into individuals and people. You know what I'm saying? So most definitely. I have. Someone asked, how can they be a part of Usher's New Look? Well, all you gotta do is go on ushersnewlook.org, see if we're in your city, and then just go ahead and contact one of us. We have all our contact information on UNL. We have an introductory program powered by Service that'll get you certified. Then you can join the Leadership Academy, and then we come up in here talking about that shmoney all day, because that's what we do. Okay, swag. Any more questions from the audience before I go back to social media again? Yes, you right here. Go ahead.
I don't understand that.
Oh no, that's fine. Go ahead.
So, I know, this whole day and age, entrepreneurship is, a really big deal. But, not everybody can quit their 9 to 5 to pursue their entrepreneurship dreams. So, what type of advice? Well, me, I quit my 9 to 5. Well, I was, a server, so it didn't really count. But it's still, a 9 to 5 because you're there all day, every day. But, I quit that because I have a business that I'm trying to focus on, and I cannot focus on the business when I'm giving my 200% because I'm picking up my slack and then everybody else slack. Because if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it 10,000% no matter what. So, what kind of advice do you give to people who they quit their 9 to 5, they still need, they want to make a business, but the money is just still not talking?
And let me tap this real quick, and I'm gonna jump out. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe one of these money
I want
experts.
to you. Ellie, you get over here.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh wait, and I have one more other thing too. So like I graduated college and like everybody think like, oh yeah, you need a college degree to like get a job. I got a college degree and I ain't got no job. So like, what's up? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
talk about that.
I'll definitely go let you talk about that latter one. But with the first one, you have to, for one, I always took the approach of I'm not gonna work anywhere that I can't learn something from this job and apply it and reinvest it back into what it is I'm doing. And that's why I am so fortunate to actually work here at Usher's New Look in the Spark Center, because not only do I get inspired by helping others, but New Look is a platform that helps you actually develop a skill set that you can apply to your passion and apply to what it is that you're doing. But people in corporate jobs, like I always tell them, I'm like, you're seeing how business operates and basically on a high level. So all you have to do is learn it and apply it to yourself. Never miss out on an opportunity to get some good game and then reapply it to your hustle. Now, as far as like making money, you don't need no 9 to 5 to make money. Like I was just looking online about nighttime jobs, about customer service jobs, about Amazon. They got like the Uber for Amazon where you drop off people packages, and like these jobs are paying like 30 from 15 to like $30 an hour. So it is other ways to make money, but I would encourage you to find some source of self-employment, some income that you can use to fund your job, because it is hard out here with a wish and a dream unless you just got like angel investors and things like that. But you need something that's gonna be making you money, but it doesn't have to be a traditional, 9 to 5.
I'm gonna tell you something as hard as you make it, right? I'm gonna ask you a question. What do you do? What is your business right now?
I'm a model, so
Okay.
I teach runway to freelance and aspiring models. So I pretty much help them break into the industry.
Okay, so we're in the knowledge age, so you're doing something that everybody wants already.
Yeah,
You're
you
giving
can
out,
sell a
right?
class.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how much money do you desire to make a month? Problem number one. If you don't know your end goal, how could you even get there? Right? Like it's something that we do called reverse engineering. If you said, like I tell people all the time, Dewey and I can do an event tomorrow, and we can sit here and say, bro, I want to do an event, and we're gonna have 10 people there, right? And we can do 10 people like that, and it's easy. Or we could say we want to do an event tomorrow and have 10,000 people there. It could happen tomorrow, but it takes a different type of work ethic, right? And so when you know what your end goal is and how long you want to take to get there, then it puts you in that position where you can say, okay, cool, this is what we need on a month to month. This is what I need to do every week in order to hit that. This is what I need to do every day in order to hit that. This is what I need to do every hour in order to hit that. So that every time you wake up, you're waking up enthusiastic and excited about getting out here and beating the pavement to get people connected to what you're doing, right? Because that's the reason why entrepreneurs don't succeed. Like, we don't know how to put together schedules for ourselves.
Exactly.
We don't understand. We got the vision, but we don't have the vision, for real, for real. We know that we want to teach people how to walk, and we know that we're good at teaching people how to walk, but we don't believe that people are going to pay for it, right? Like, once you get into that space, when you know without a shadow of a doubt that you have a product that people are going to pay for regardless, period. If it's $100 a class, it's $100 a class.
Yep.
If it's $1,000 a class, it's $1,000 a class. People will pay whatever it is you desire for them to pay. All you got to do is put the price on there. And you got to make the decision to go out there and connect with people consistently until you get the clients that's going to give you that daily amount of money you need, that weekly amount and that monthly amount of money you need. That's the only problem you have right now. You don't got that clear vision. And that's what I do. As a life coach and a career mentor, I teach people how to get that clear vision.
Message.
If that's a conversation you want to have, that's a conversation we could have.
Also, I think to answer the 9 to 5 question, that's the first most important question we need to talk about first. So, in terms of the 9 to 5, that's only 8 hours in a day. You have 24 hours in a day. So you take 8 hours for sleeping, that leaves 16 hours. You take 8 hours for it, there's 8 more hours. What are you doing in those 8 hours? That's 8 hours you can be spending on building your business. Just numerically, just from that standpoint, right? So now within that 8 hours, you can do things that are generating revenue on the side as just specifically for that business. And then the rest of the time you can spend on planning and creating strategies to take your business to the next level. So now you've used all 24 of your hours. And if you aren't effectively using because we have the same 24 hours as Beyonce, as Jay-Z, as anyone else, as Warren Buffett, so it's all about how you are investing in yourself and your business. And so you can have a 9 to 5 and still make money. I'm doing it. I'm launching a startup in like 2 weeks and I work, and I work every day. You know, so it's possible, it's doable. And the most important part is you can use that money to sustain yourself so you don't worry about how you're gonna have to eat in the next few days, because that's why most startups fail, because they can't sustain themselves. Every person I've consulted with or clients that I work with, I figure out where the revenue is going to come from. Where is your source of income going to come from to sustain yourself? Because you don't want to be worrying about how you're going to eat, where you're going to live, while you're trying to create a product for other people. It's just going to distract you from what's really important. So with that being said,
Let me chime in real quick. I do want to say, and I know we've been talking about entrepreneurship and getting that money for yourself. I do want to put that caveat out there. Like, we have these big hopes and dreams. I'm a visual artist, starving artist syndrome or whatnot is real, but there is a role that education, either higher level training or a bachelor's degree, plays in that networking space and also in the funding of your dream.
Definitely.
As a minority, we're not afforded the same opportunities as other races might be to quit their 9-to-5 job, or to just not go to college at all, or not get any kind of higher training or education. So keep that in mind, that being a successful entrepreneur is not the rule, it's an exception. And unless you have that discipline and the network and the people around you and the capital to do it, you won't be part of that exception.
But be strategic, right? So it's like, it's not smart to go to school and acquire $80,000 worth of debt if the job that you want to work only pays you $45,000. You know what I'm saying? So it's like all about your situation. But Michael gave you some really good advice. I would set out that price. You want to make 5 G's a month. How much do I gotta charge per class, and how many classes do I need to be doing per month to get that goal? And you'll be well on your way to being a successful entrepreneur, because you set that standard and that metric, right? Do we have time for one more question? One more? Actually, no, man. We ran out of time, man. We've been swagging out so much, you know what I'm saying? The time just went past. But look, though, our studio audience for coming out, you know what I mean, and being disruptivators, you guys will all be getting a copy of Green is the Thing, Money Management for Kids, all right? And look, Tyreek, you know, this is signed by him, you know what I'm saying? And also, you guys will be getting some of our Disruptivator swag, so everyone will be hooked up with a Disruptivator t-shirt, you know what I'm talking about? They want me to model this thing one time, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, look at that back. Oh, I ain't got the threes on today. Next time I'm gonna have a shoe game, gonna be crazy. But look, man, follow us. Usher's New Look, man, it was cool rocking out with y'all. You know what I'm talking about? Instagram, Facebook, and the edit for YouTube. You know what I'm talking about? One more time, y'all make some noise for our panelists. Blank check, episode 1, it's the rock.